Welcome to Undisputed Live from Los Angeles. I'm Jason McIntyre here with LeVar Arrington, Bucky Brooks. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Real well. Feel real swell. Ready to go.
Good. Great day.
Got some fun topics today, gentlemen. Odell Beckham Jr. is headed to Hollywood. The Rams signed OBJ on a one-year deal. And boy, are they doing everything they can to win the Super Bowl this year. It's yet another star they've acquired after they traded for Von Miller last week. Even LeBron James celebrated the news on social media, tweeting, "Welcome to LA, my brother. It's go time." LeVar, should Odell Beckham Jr. make the Rams Super Bowl favorites?
Well, Vegas says no. I mean, the odds were the odds, and as my man Jonas Knox would say, it lied there like a corpse. No movement, no anything. Went nowhere. So I'm going to sit there and I'm going to disagree slightly. I do believe that he's an upgrade from my man Deshaun Jackson for the simple fact that I think he just has more left in the tank. I think he has more left to prove. And quite frankly, the way that the divorce took place in New York and then now the divorce in, Cleveland, I just think that there's something there for Odell to be able to prove that he's still that, go figure, a three-time Pro Bowler. Now, some may say it's a popularity contest. I tend to think that you got to be good enough to be considered a Pro Bowler, because I, too, was a three-time Pro Bowler. I made about myself for 2 seconds. But, hey, nonetheless, this guy can play football, and I think that in all of the dramatics of everything that's been reported, we've lost sight of that. But when I look at these teams, you look at Tampa Bay. They beat Tampa Bay head-to-head without Odell Beckham, all right? They have Green Bay coming up. Those are my two favorites in the NFC. So they get a chance to play against Green Bay coming up here pretty soon. I think we'll know better what this Rams team is. I didn't like the fact that they couldn't handle the physicality against Tennessee when they played them, and that left me in pause in terms of how good can they be if they come up against a team in the playoffs that is going to ramp up the physicality of how they play against the Rams. But for me, looking at what Matthew Stafford represents, what the rest of this receiving core led by Kupp could be if they stay healthy and Odell can kind of integrate into this scheme seamlessly, with the addition of Von Miller on that defense, can they become more dominant than they already are with Von Miller? I say absolutely they can. And can you become a more prolific offense in the passing game with Odell Beckham? I say unequivocally yes. So then you got to say that they're going to be a contender. But to say they're outright favorites just because of the addition of OBJ, I think they become better, but I'm not comfortable and confident saying that they are now the definitive favorites to be Super Bowl champs.
Wow. I mean, I think you have to already put them in the mix. They were already close to being favorites without Odell Beckham Jr. and Von Miller. When you look at the way this team is constructed, they're constructed like the great teams of L.A., the Lakers and the Dodgers. We don't want developmental guys. We don't want guys who have to wait and see if they can play or not. We want right now guys. And what the LA Rams have done is they've taken that Lakers and Dodgers model and put it into practice. That's why they went and swiped Jalen Ramsey. That's why they went and swiped Matthew Stafford. That's why they brought over Von Miller. And now the final piece is Odell Beckham Jr. because they wanted star power. And at the end of the day, it's a player's game. And typically the team with the best Jimmys and Joes are the teams that are able to overcome the X's and O's. And when I look at the Rams and I look at this offense right now, who are you going to guard on the outside? You have Odell Beckham Jr., Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods. And even though Odell Beckham Jr. is not the OBJ that we saw in New York, he's still plenty good enough as a number two or whatever it is, the role that they want him to play. And so it is about giving yourself enough ammunition that when you get into the playoffs, if you need a big game, somebody can step up and make it happen. We saw it with the Buccaneers when Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski gave them a boost in the playoffs. It's not about him being a dominant player throughout the regular season. It's about breaking him out just in case you need him in the postseason. That's what OBJ can do for this Rams offense. And with Matthew Stafford basically transforming this offense from the movement-based passing scheme that it always had been under Jared Goff with all the play action to now being more of a traditional drop-back scheme. It's more empty, it's more spread, it's more get the ball out of Matthew Stafford's hands and let him go to work. I think this is a really nice fit once OBJ continues to recover from the ACL injury that really has plagued him throughout the season as he's trying to knock off the rust.
I do like Bucky's point about L.A. being a star town. You know, you could argue that Odell to the Rams is a bigger deal for TMZ than it is the Rams. You know, Odell is a celebrity. He ain't much of a receiver at this point.
Ooh.
We know that from the stats, right?
Ooh,
first
wow.
3 years, Bucky, first 3 years, 35 touchdowns. Last 4.5 years, 16.5 touchdowns. A lot of injuries. And, you know, to LeVar's point about the Pro Bowl status of Odell Beckham, I woke up this morning early, looked at the calendar. I said, boy, Odell Beckham Jr. is relevant. Cam Newton is on the Panthers. And the Warriors have the best record in the NBA? What, is this 2016? What is going on here? Because, LeVar, I know you love to hype Odell's creds being a Pro Bowler, but he hasn't been a Pro Bowler for a while, okay? I don't see how a number 3 receiver on a team, and Bucky articulated that's what he is, after Kupp, who is arguably the best receiver in the league, leads the league in receptions, targets, touchdowns, yards. Cooper Kupp's been dominant, and Robert Woods is tough. Frankly, I was at that Chargers-Browns game, guys, and you could see the beginning of the end for Odell Beckham. He wasn't hustling back to the huddle after all his deep routes in which Baker did not throw the ball to him. You know, he had a key drop on 4th down. Bucky, you can look at the tape this year. Maybe it is the ACL. That's a fair point. But I just didn't see the Odell I saw early in his career. And LeVar, he is 29 years old. I don't know how he unlocks anything that Stafford hasn't done because, you know, I see the over-under for the Rams at 12 wins, but I actually think that's probably 12 days until Odell starts complaining, Stafford, get me the ball! Stafford, give me the rock! You know, that's all he does. We saw it in New York. We saw it in Cleveland. LeVar, that's the big problem. Is it's going to hinder Matt Stafford, given Odell's history of petulance and I'm a star, get me the ball?
$10 word. Come on, throw the dollars in the dish. Hey, listen, I understand all of that, but I'm not willing to hang up the phone on, man, hang up the phone, 2021. I'm not hanging up the phone. I'm a ride with Odell. I'm a ride with OBJ right now. And the reason why is because he's coming to a market where it's like getting vitamin D as a plant. It's like being somewhere that's in your natural habitat. You know, great white sharks cannot live in captivity. You know why? I don't know why. Maybe you do, but it's never happened. They got to be in the ocean, baby. They got to be in their natural habitat. You know where OBJ's natural habitat is? A big market. His best seasons was in the #1 media market. Now he's in a #2 media market. Throw him up and down, which way. He has a home here already. He's familiar with this area. He knows the people. He knows the terrain. This is vitamin D. This is solar energy. OBJ is coming to a place where he knows he is wanted. He exists in a way where, well, it's like not in Cleveland. He will fit in well with this group of people. Let me tell you something. He's not coming in to be Cooper Kupp. He's not coming in to be anybody else, Robert Woods. He's not coming in to be anybody else but OBJ. And you know where it matters and it makes sense and it fits in L.A.? It fits in L.A. So to me, when I look at this opportunity for OBJ to come and play for a team that is already, as Bucky mentioned, they could be already considered a favorite to win the Super Bowl already. He doesn't have to come in, even though the debate is, can OBJ or does OBJ make this team a definitive favorite for the Super Bowl? He doesn't have to come in with that weight on his shoulders. All he has to do is come in and do what he does best with that repaired knee, with the opportunity to repair his reputation, which is run good routes, be fearless, catch the ball. We know that OBJ can still do those things. And if he does that in Los Angeles, he becomes becomes maybe, possibly, even a bigger star than what he's already been thus far in his career, not even having seemingly as much as he's done in those 1,000-yard receiving years that he's had, which, by the way, isn't too far removed. I believe 2 seasons ago, he had a 1,000-yard receiving season with the Cleveland Browns. So he can get the yards, he can get the catches, and he can produce. I'm not hanging up on OBJ yet. I think this is the perfect opportunity, in fact, for him to revive his career and be a positive contributor to the team that he's on, Bucky.
Hey, LeVar, like, here's the thing, and you know this because you're a big-time player when you're in the league. It takes a couple things for a playmaker to get off, particularly at wide receiver. It takes a passer, and it takes a play caller. And I don't think that we could ever say that he's had a great passer, and I don't know if he's ever had an A-plus play caller in his career. Whenever he gets that in L.A.